Alex, I feel so guilty towards Mom, Laura sighed, smiling weakly at me from the bed. In recent days, a severe cold had confined her to the house. I promised to help her with harvesting the garden this weekend, but I feel so broken. Don't worry, dear, I'll take care of it, I replied, sitting next to her and gently stroking her head. Your mom does a lot for us. The least I can do is help with the harvest. Relief reflected on Laura's face. Oh, Alex, you're so wonderful. I love you so much. She closed her eyes, taking a sip of hot Linden tea. The next morning, after saying goodbye to my wife, I headed to the house of her mother, Jennifer. I decided to work in the garden late into the evening to get everything done, and told my wife right away that I would most likely stay the night there. Despite her age, my mother-in-law remained a lively and energetic woman. A small but well-kept garden stretched behind the house. Jennifer was already working there in a light summer dress, gathering fruits and vegetables into large wicker baskets. Good morning, Alex. Glad you came to help. She straightened up, wiping the sweat from her forehead with her sleeve. How is Laura feeling? Poor thing, she's ill at such an inconvenient time. Better, but still weak, I replied, taking off my shirt and rolling up my sleeves. The day promised to be hot. Don't worry, I'll take on the heavy work today. We started gathering the harvest, moving row by row. At first, the conversation revolved around the garden and gardening wisdom, but gradually it moved on to more personal topics. You know, this garden is like a little haven for me, Jennifer shared, carefully picking a large tomato from a branch. Here I can escape from all the worries and problems, just enjoying working in the fresh air. I completely understand you, I nodded, transferring a handful of green beans to the basket. Sometimes you just need to get out of the office or the house, work with your hands. It helps to relieve accumulated stress. Jennifer smiled gratefully, and at that moment I really looked at her for the first time. Despite her age, she retained her attractiveness, a graceful figure, lively green eyes and soft facial features. Something stirred inside me, but I hastened to push away this impulse. Working side by side throughout the day, we gradually got to know each other more. Jennifer willingly shared stories and memories from her long life, and I listened with interest, trying to see something more in this woman than just a mother-in-law. You know, when I was young, I dreamed of becoming an actress, she admitted with a chuckle, pouring black currant berries into a basket. I studied at theater courses, even played in a couple of student productions, but then reality took over. I needed to earn a living, build a career, start a family. Do you regret not following that path? I inquired. Jennifer shrugged. It's too late to regret now. Life turned out differently, but I don't regret anything. I have a beloved daughter, a wonderful son-in-law. She gave me a warm look. Grandchildren. What more could a woman my age want? She touched my hand, and I felt a pleasant warmth spread through my body. Could this be a banal male attraction? I was ashamed, but I couldn't deny that Jennifer was starting to appeal to me as a woman, not just as my wife's relative. During the lunch break, we settled under a spreading tree in the backyard, enjoying cool soda and a light breeze. An idyllic atmosphere reigned around, warm sun glints in the foliage, the scent of flowers and fresh greenery. I must admit I'm even glad that Laura couldn't come, Jennifer unexpectedly said, setting the bottle aside. This way we were able to get to know each other better, Alex. After all, before, our communication was limited only to family gatherings. She gave me a conspiratorial look, and I suddenly realized that a certain spark had flashed between us, electrifying the air. It was something forbidden, but at the same time incredibly alluring. It had been so long since I had felt such a thrill in front of a woman. In the afternoon, we continued working, slowly moving from bed to bed. But the atmosphere between us had noticeably changed. Meaningful glances, accidental touches, hints in conversation. All this seemed to excite the blood, promising something more. I tried to resist the temptation, but at the same time I remained completely charmed by this woman. Towards evening, we reached another fruit tree. Sitting down under it on the straw, Jennifer slowly began plucking the branches. I watched as her hands deftly sorted through the fruits and suddenly imagined how those same hands touched my chest, descending lower. "Alex, is something wrong?" Jennifer called out to me, noticing my absent-minded look. "Huh? No, everything's fine," I replied, somewhat embarrassed, and hastened to join her work. It seemed that this woman had really driven me crazy with her mere presence. By evening, we had finished the main work in the garden. Tired but satisfied, we settled on the back veranda, watching the sun slowly disappear beyond the horizon. The air was filled with the scents of flowers and fallen fruits. "Maybe we should have something to drink," Jennifer suggested, going for refreshments. When she returned, our eyes met, and again a meaningful pause hung in the air. Her hands trembled slightly as she handed me a glass of some lemonade. I involuntarily swallowed, noticing how intently she was looking at me from under half-lowered lashes. "Thank you for helping me today, Alex," Jennifer said softly. "Usually all these chores fall on my shoulders, but your support, it means a lot to me." "No need to thank me," I replied, taking a small sip of lemonade. The cool liquid refreshed my parched throat. "For me, it was a pleasure. It's nice to work in a company." The dusk was thickening, casting mysterious shadows on the veranda. Only a dim street lamp illuminated us, painting everything in warm orange tones. An almost intimate atmosphere prevailed. We continued to chat quietly, but to be honest, at that moment the words no longer had much meaning for me. Everything inside me focused on Jennifer's presence, on her scent, her steady breathing, her smooth movements. The spark between us burned brighter and brighter, melting the last remnants of resistance. At some point, Jennifer cautiously moved a little closer. Her knee touched mine, and that touch was like an electric shock. She gave me a look full of unspoken promises. Then her hand rested on my thigh, sending ripples of excitement through my body. I held my breath, fighting conflicting emotions. I can't," I whispered, looking away. "This is wrong, Jennifer. You're my wife's mother. Can't we just relax and enjoy the moment?" she asked softly, leaning closer and closer. "Don't you feel the same desire, Alex? This closeness, this attraction between us?" Her lips neared mine, and the next second I plunged into them with a greedy kiss, forgetting about everything in the world except the volcano of passion boiling inside. After the first kiss, everything happened as if in a haze. Jennifer pulled me closer, and soon a heated battle of bodies merging in ecstasy began between us. All barriers were swept away by the onslaught of emotions and desires that had been building up since the very beginning of this incredible day. We kissed passionately, caressed each other, forgetting about everything in the world. I thought I had become a youth again. So primal and wild were the feelings that gripped me. When Jennifer began to pull off my shirt, her fingers played over my bare skin, making me burn with impatience. In response, I buried my hands in her hair, relishing its softness and the warmth of her body pressed against mine. Heated bodies rubbed against each other in the twilight of the gathering dusk. Our moans and sighs mingled with the rustle of leaves in the wind. Shame, pangs of conscience, everything was forgotten. At that moment there were only the two of us and the all-consuming flame of passion. When it was all over, for some time we lay silently on the blanket, coming to our senses after the storm of emotions we had experienced. Jennifer snuggled up to me, laying her head on my chest, and her lips curved into a blissful smile. Her hair was disheveled, her clothes half discarded, a clear testament to the madness that had just taken place on that veranda. Jennifer was the first to break the silence. "Alex, she faltered, and I saw a single teardrop roll down her cheek. "I probably went overboard. I shouldn't have done that. It's wrong." Pangs of conscience and a bitter sense of guilt towards Laura also returned to me. How could I have betrayed my own wife with her mother? How will I look her in the eyes after what I've done? "Hush," I stroked Jennifer's hair, embracing her with my other arm. "What happened between us must not go beyond this house. It will remain only our secret." She nodded, pressing closer to me as if trying to hide from the outside world. I also hugged her tighter, desperately wanting to prolong this brief moment of madness, intoxicating and sinful. The next morning, I returned home, carefully hiding the traces of the previous evening in Jennifer's garden. Luckily, Laura was still asleep when I slipped inside, trying not to wake her. After taking a long shower, I tried to collect my thoughts and decide how to behave further. "Good morning, honey," Laura greeted me in a sleepy voice when I entered the bedroom. She stretched and smiled warmly at me. "How was helping Mom yesterday? I hope everything went smoothly." "Quite successfully," I nodded, sitting on the edge of the bed. We managed to gather the entire harvest, so your mom can calmly engage in its preservation and processing. How great! I should visit her in a few days. She might need help with processing. Laura sat up, leaning her back against the headboard. At that moment, my heart nearly jumped out of my chest. I felt a chill run down my spine at the thought that Laura might one day find out about my transgression. This must never happen. Our family, our marriage, all this will be destroyed in an instant. Yes, be sure to visit her, I mumbled, trying to hide my confusion. Only after you have fully recovered and regained your strength. Laura nodded in agreement and yawned, covering herself more tightly with the blanket. I got up and walked to the window, agonizingly pondering what had happened last night. It was just a brief moment of madness, a momentary weakness, nothing more. I love Laura, and I never want to lose her because of one mistake. What happened between Jennifer and me must remain our little shameful secret. I will do everything possible to drive these memories deeper and become an exemplary, loving husband for Laura again. Life must go on as if nothing had happened. That day, I diligently behaved as if nothing had happened. I cooked, cleaned, took care of Laura. In general, I was the perfect spouse. And only in the evening, when my wife was already asleep, I allowed myself for a moment to plunge into memories of Jennifer's passionate embraces and that crazy evening on the veranda. But this was the last time, I swore to myself. No more mistakes and giving in to weaknesses, for the sake of the family. In the following days, our life gradually returned to its usual course. Laura recovered from her illness, I went to work. In the evenings we watched TV or chatted over dinner. I avoided Jennifer, trying not to be alone with her, and she herself showed absolutely no desire to meet again after that memorable evening. Apparently what happened opened both our eyes. It was only a temporary weakness, a flash of forbidden passion, nothing more. I tried not to think about it, immersing myself in the measured everyday life. However, somewhere deep in my soul, the memory of those hot kisses, of Jennifer's hands on my body, still smoldered. A memory that I tried to hide even from myself. Everything had to remain the same. Nothing had the right to destroy the life that I had been building with Laura for so many years. What happened remained only a mistake, a small crack in the perfect marriage. At times this crack will remind of itself, but I will do everything so that it never again grows into an abyss. For Laura's sake and for my own sake, I had to keep my secret with Jennifer. Forever. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.